Have you ever had a moment where you thought of someone, and suddenly they texted or called you? Or maybe you felt a sudden wave of emotion, only to find out later that something significant had happened to that person? We've all had those moments that seem too precise, too perfectly timed, to be mere coincidence. And when it comes to twin flames, this experience of deep, unspoken connection seems to happen on a whole other level. So, is twin flame telepathy real? To answer that, we first have to consider what telepathy really is. It's often described as a silent communication, a way of sharing thoughts, emotions, or even energy without words or physical interaction. It's like a subtle, energetic language that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the heart. And when it comes to twin flames, this kind of connection can feel amplified, almost as if there's a constant energetic dialogue happening between the two souls. You see, twin flames are often said to share the same energetic blueprint. They're mirrors of each other, reflecting both the light and the shadows within. And this shared energy creates a kind of resonance, a frequency that allows them to tune into each other's thoughts, emotions, and even physical sensations. So when one twin flame feels something deeply, the other might sense it too, even if they're miles apart. But just because something feels real doesn't always mean it's easy to explain. That's the tricky part about telepathy. It's not something you can measure or prove in the traditional sense. It's not like picking up a phone and hearing someone's voice on the other end. It's more subtle, more intuitive. It happens in moments that can feel fleeting but deeply profound, a sudden thought, a feeling that doesn't seem to belong to you, or a vivid dream that feels more like a meeting than a memory. And while science may not fully validate twin flame telepathy, there's a growing understanding that human connection operates on more than just the physical level. Studies on heart coherence and the electromagnetic field suggest that our hearts generate an energy field that can be felt by others. Some researchers even believe that this field may play a role in how we intuitively sense emotions or intentions. So, when you think about it, telepathy, especially between two people with a strong bond, might not be as far-fetched as it seems. But here's the thing, whether or not twin flame telepathy is real, in a scientific sense, may not be the most important question. What really matters is how it feels to you. Because if you've ever experienced it, if you've ever felt that unexplainable connection, that quiet knowing, you already understand its truth, even if you can't explain it to someone else. For many people on the twin flame journey, telepathy becomes a lifeline during separation. It's those moments when you feel their presence, when you sense what they're going through, that remind you the connection is still alive. And whether it's happening because of a shared energy field, a higher spiritual connection, or something we don't yet fully understand, the experience itself is real to those who feel it. There's also something deeply personal about telepathy. It doesn't always show up in grand, dramatic ways. Often, it's quiet, subtle nudges, intuitive thoughts, or emotions that seem to arrive out of nowhere. And that's what makes it feel so intimate. It's not about proving anything to anyone else, it's about trusting your own experience. Of course, there's always the question of imagination. How do you know if it's real telepathy or just your mind creating what you want to believe? That's a fair question, and one many people wrestle with. But maybe it's less about trying to label it as real or imagined, and more about tuning into how it makes you feel. Does it bring you clarity? Comfort? A deeper understanding of yourself? If so, then perhaps the experience, regardless of its source, serves a purpose. You might notice that telepathy often shows up during significant moments, times of emotional intensity, big life changes, or moments when you're deeply focused on your inner growth. It's almost as if the connection strengthens when you need it most, offering quiet reassurance that you're not walking this path alone. Whether that's a reflection of your subconscious mind or something more spiritual is up to interpretation. But what's undeniable is the impact it can have on your emotional and spiritual journey. Another way to think about twin flame telepathy is as a form of deep empathy, an energetic attunement that happens when two souls are deeply connected. We already know that empathy allows us to sense the emotions of those we care about. So, in a sense, telepathy might be empathy in its highest form, a way of feeling not just emotions, but energy, thoughts, and even unspoken messages. And if you're wondering whether your twin flame feels it too, the answer is, probably. Twin flames are often aware of the connection, even if they don't always talk about it. They might not describe it in the same way, but they likely have their own moments of feeling your presence, sensing your emotions, or thinking of you at the exact same time you're thinking of them. It's part of the shared energetic bond that defines the twin flame journey. So, is twin flame telepathy real? For many, the answer is a resounding yes, not because it can be scientifically proven, but because it's something they've lived and felt. It's something that has guided them through dark moments, helped them heal, and reminded them of a love that goes beyond words and physical presence. It's real because it's part of their story, part of their journey. And maybe that's what matters most. Not whether you can explain it, but whether it helps you grow. Whether it leads you back to yourself. Because at the end of the day, the twin flame journey isn't just about the other person, it's about you. It's about finding wholeness within, about learning to trust the unseen, about embracing the mystery of love and connection. Telepathy is just one piece of that puzzle. A reminder that love, in its highest form, transcends logic. It lives in the spaces we can't always define, in the quiet moments of knowing, in the invisible threads that connect us all. There's something about twin flame telepathy that feels timeless, almost as if it operates outside the normal flow of life. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it, because it doesn't follow the usual rules of connection. It's not like regular communication, where you reach out and wait for a reply. With telepathy, the connection seems to exist beyond time and space, as if it's always there, quietly humming in the background of your life, waiting for you to tune in. And that's another fascinating thing, you don't always control when telepathy happens. Sometimes it catches you off guard, showing up in moments when you least expect it. You could be completely focused on something else, and suddenly, a thought of them arises, or a memory surfaces so vividly it feels like they're right there with you. It's like a tap on the shoulder from the universe, reminding you that even in silence, the connection remains. But then there are times when it feels like telepathy fades, when the signs become less frequent, and you wonder if the connection is slipping away. Those moments can be confusing, even painful, because they make you question everything. Was it all in my head? Has the connection ended, you might ask yourself. But often, this quiet phase isn't the end, it's just another part of the journey. A time for you to turn inward, to focus on your own growth without being constantly drawn outward by the connection. In a way, telepathy mirrors your inner state. When you're deeply attuned to yourself, when you're present and open, the connection tends to feel stronger. But when life pulls you in different directions, when your mind is clouded by stress or doubt, telepathy can feel distant, like a radio signal that's gone out of range. And that's okay. It's not a sign that the connection is gone, it's a sign that you're being called to come back to yourself. Because that's one of the most profound truths about the twin flame journey, it always brings you back to yourself. No matter how much you long for reunion, no matter how deeply you feel the connection, the real work is always within. Telepathy, in this sense, is like a compass. It points you toward the areas of your life that need your attention, the parts of yourself that are asking to be seen and healed. And perhaps that's why the connection can feel so intense at times. It's not just about love, it's about transformation. It's about awakening to a deeper truth, about shedding old layers of fear and doubt, and stepping into the fullness of who you are. Your twin flame may be the mirror, but the reflection they show you is ultimately your own. You might wonder why telepathy feels stronger during separation. It's a question many people on the twin flame path ask. And while there's no single answer, one possibility is that separation creates space for the connection to exist on a higher, more spiritual level. When you're not physically together, your souls find other ways to communicate, other ways to stay connected. And telepathy becomes a bridge between the seen and the unseen, a way of reminding you that love isn't bound by physical distance. Another reason telepathy might feel more prominent during separation is because that's when you're most open to it. When you're apart, you naturally long for connection, and in that longing, your heart opens in a way it might not during times of closeness. This openness creates a kind of receptivity, a willingness to feel, to sense, to trust what can't be seen. And in that space, telepathy flourishes. But what's important to remember is that telepathy isn't something you have to force. It's not about trying to hear their thoughts or constantly looking for signs. It's about allowing the connection to be what it is, fluid, natural, and sometimes unpredictable. The more you let go of the need to control it, the more freely it flows. There's a certain peace that comes when you stop trying to grasp at the connection and simply let it exist. You begin to trust that it's always there, even when you don't feel it. You begin to trust that the love you share with your twin flame doesn't need constant confirmation, it simply is. And in that trust, you find a kind of freedom. A freedom to live your life fully, to focus on your own growth, while still honoring the connection in your heart. And isn't that what this journey is really about? Learning to hold both the connection and your own path with grace. Learning to love without attachment, to trust without needing proof, to grow without losing sight of who you are. In this way, telepathy becomes more than just a mystical experience, it becomes a teacher. It teaches you to trust your intuition, to listen to the quiet voice within, to honor the unseen. It teaches you that real connection doesn't fade with distance, that love isn't something you lose, it's something you carry with you. And maybe that's why twin flame telepathy feels so real to those who experience it. Because it's not just about another person, it's about a deeper connection to life itself. It's about recognizing that we're all connected, that love is the thread that weaves through everything, even when we can't see it. So, is twin flame telepathy real? If you've felt it, if you've experienced those moments of unspoken connection, those waves of emotion that seem to belong to someone else, then you already know the answer. It's real in the sense that it's part of your journey, part of your story. It's real because it's helping you grow, helping you heal, helping you remember that love, in its truest form, isn't something you find outside of yourself, it's something you awaken to within. Telepathy, like love, is something you feel. And whether or not it can be explained, whether or not anyone else believes it, your experience is valid. It's part of the unfolding mystery of your soul's path, a path that only you can walk. So, the next time you feel that quiet presence, that subtle nudge, that unexplainable wave of emotion, honor it. Not as something you need to hold on to, but as something that's simply reminding you of the deeper connection you already carry within. Trust it. Trust yourself. Trust the journey. Because at the end of the day, whether telepathy is real in the way we typically define reality isn't the point. What matters is what it opens within you, what it helps you see, what it invites you to become. And if it leads you closer to your own heart, closer to the truth of who you are, then isn't that real enough? As you journey deeper into this experience, you may notice that telepathy becomes less about external validation and more about inner awareness. In the beginning, it might feel like you're constantly looking for signs, something tangible that confirms the connection. And that's completely understandable. When you're going through separation, when you're missing someone so profoundly, it's natural to seek reassurance that the connection is still there. But over time, something shifts. You start to realize that telepathy isn't about proving anything, it's about feeling, about trusting your own experience. It's a language without words, a connection that doesn't rely on physical presence. And once you stop seeking proof outside of yourself, you begin to tune into the subtler layers of this connection. One of those layers is learning to discern what's yours and what's theirs. Twin flame telepathy often involves picking up on each other's emotions, but that can be confusing at times. You might find yourself feeling something deeply, a wave of sadness, anxiety, or even excitement, and not fully understand where it's coming from. It can be easy to assume that everything you feel is your own, but part of the telepathic journey is learning to recognize when you're tapping into your twin flame's energy. How do you know the difference? It's a subtle art, one that requires presence and self-awareness. When you feel an emotion arise seemingly out of nowhere, pause and ask yourself, does this feel like mine? Or does it feel like something I'm picking up on? It's not about overanalyzing, it's about gently tuning into your body, your heart, and your intuition. Over time, you may begin to notice patterns. Maybe certain emotions only arise when you sense your twin flame strongly. Maybe you start to recognize their emotional signature, like an energetic fingerprint that feels familiar, yet distinct from your own. And once you begin to discern what's yours and what's theirs, you gain a sense of clarity. You realize that while you're deeply connected, you're also your own person. You don't have to carry everything they're going through. You can hold space for the connection without losing yourself in it. This is one of the most important lessons of twin flame telepathy. It teaches you how to stay grounded in your own energy, even as you remain open to the connection. Another layer of telepathy is the way it evolves over time. In the early stages, it might feel intense, even overwhelming. The thoughts, emotions, dreams, and synchronicities can feel constant, almost as if the universe is shouting, "Pay attention." But as you grow and heal, the intensity often softens. The connection becomes more subtle, more integrated into your daily life. It's still there, but it no longer demands your constant focus. Instead, it becomes something you carry quietly within you, a steady hum in the background of your life, rather than a loud, urgent signal. And this shift is significant because it reflects your inner growth. When telepathy feels less urgent, it's often because you've reached a place of greater balance within yourself. You're no longer trying to grasp at the connection, no longer caught in the cycle of longing and seeking. You've learned to trust. You've learned to let go, not of the love itself, but of the need to control how it unfolds. And in that letting go, you find a kind of peace, a quiet confidence that the connection is real, whether or not it's always obvious. But letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean the connection is any less meaningful. It simply means you've stopped trying to force something that was always meant to unfold in its own time. You've stopped resisting the process, and in doing so, you've opened yourself to the deeper purpose of this journey. Because that's what separation is really about. It's about becoming whole within yourself. It's about healing the parts of you that have felt incomplete, about finding your own inner balance so that if and when reunion happens, you come together as two whole beings, not two halves trying to complete each other. And telepathy plays a crucial role in this process. It's a reminder that even in separation, you are connected, not just to your twin flame, but to yourself, to the universe, to the infinite web of life that holds us all. It teaches you to trust the unseen, to listen to your intuition, to open your heart to the mystery of love and connection. You might even notice that as you heal, telepathy begins to show up in new ways. It becomes less about receiving messages from your twin flame and more about tuning into your own inner guidance. You start to realize that the connection you feel isn't just with them, it's with something greater. It's with the part of you that knows you're never truly alone, the part of you that trusts in the unfolding of life. And as this awareness deepens, something magical happens. You stop waiting. You stop clinging to the idea of reunion as the goal. Instead, you start living fully in the present, finding joy and meaning in your own journey. You honor the connection, but you no longer let it define you. You no longer place your happiness in the hands of a future you can't control. And that's when telepathy becomes something even more profound. It's no longer just a reminder of your twin flame, it's a reminder of who you are. It's a call to step into your own power, to trust your own path, to embrace the love that already exists within you. Because at the end of the day, the twin flame journey isn't about finding someone else, it's about finding yourself. It's about awakening to the truth that love is not something outside of you, but something you are. And telepathy, in all its mystery, is simply one of the ways the universe whispers this truth to you. So, is twin flame telepathy real? Perhaps the better question is, what does it awaken within you? What does it help you see? How does it guide you toward greater love, greater trust, greater wholeness? If it brings you closer to yourself, if it helps you grow, if it reminds you that love transcends distance and time, then maybe that's the only answer you need. Whether or not it can be explained, whether or not anyone else believes it, your experience is real. It's part of your journey, part of your unfolding, part of the beautiful, mysterious dance of life and love. So, when those moments come, when you feel that quiet nudge, that sudden thought, that wave of emotion, honor it. Honor the connection. Honor yourself. And trust that wherever this journey leads, it's guiding you home. Home to love. Home to wholeness. Home to you.